हर स्क्रिप्ट का अपना एक सफ़र होता है। तो चलिए ऐसे ही एक सफ़र पे जिसका नाम है स्क्रिप्टनामा। हेलो एंड वेलकम टू द थर्ड एपिसोड ऑफ स्क्रिप्टनामा सीजन 2, एक ऐसा पॉडकास्ट जो कहानी के पीछे की कहानी सुनाता है। आज हम बात करेंगे अपने इश्क की, जिसके लिए हम सब ने कोई ना कोई रिस्क लिया है। आज हम उस राइटर से बात करेंगे जिन्होंने क्रिकेट से शेयर मार्केट तक सभी में होने वाले स्कैम्स को ऑडियंस तक पहुंचाया। Our guest today has written some of the best series on OTT like Inside Age Season 1 and 2, Scam 92, Harshad Mehta Story, and recently released and already on top of every chart, Saas, Bahu, Flamingo. Please welcome Mr. Saurav Dey. Welcome, sir.
Hi, thank you so much.
First, let me start the show by congratulating Nandini Gupta, Aman Manan, and you on the success of your fantastic show, Saas, Bahu Aur Flamingo. How are you feeling reading the reviews?
See, most reviews have been very complimentary, तो मजा तो बहुत आ रहा है. There are some critical reviews also, which I've gone through. But what happens is, I mean, it's going to be a mixed. I mean, mixed तो मैं नहीं बोलूँगा exactly. Reviews actually are mostly very positive only. But I'm also open to reading criticisms of what I write or how people have reacted to certain things because I want to know a broader, holistic opinion of it.
Right.
And at the end of the day, most writers know what they have done well and what could have been done better.
Yes.
वो तो process रहता ही. There's always scope for improvement. But since filmmaking is a collaborative art which has variables to it, etc., at times.
But how did the journey of becoming a screenwriter, where did it start?
See, this journey तो has always been with me. I'm not one of those जो बोलते हैं ये कर रहे थे वो कर रहे थे तो suddenly बन गए. वो तो बिल्कुल नहीं है. I mean, this is always there. I went to FTII to learn filmmaking. I am a film direction graduate from FTII. I spent 4.5 years learning film direction only. Then I came out and then I realized that the kind of films I want to make as a first-time filmmaker, I won't be able to make because I'll not get the resources. So I realized that probably, I mean, see, there are things that other people do, FTI filmmakers. Some make corporate films, some make documentaries, some make their own films. Somehow they get some finance and make their own films. Some become assistant directors, some become writers. तो मेरे दिमाग में हमेशा वैसे था कि writing is actually a path I would like to choose because like filmmakers like Coppola or Oliver Stone या Quentin Tarantino, they were screenwriters first and then they became directors. Not they want to be directors only essentially, but they thought screenwriting is the easier way out because you get in touch with material, you get in touch with filmmakers. It is something that they enjoy more.
So, but were you writing before you joined FTI?
See, like I keep telling myself that ideas that I've had at the age of 10, I have still not written them out and I still think they can make fantastic films.
Okay.
Matlab, I think when I was 11 or something, I wrote a very commercial film idea and just the other day I completed it. मुझे लगा हाँ अभी टाइम आया है इसको देखने के लिए, लेकिन क्योंकि इंडिया का ऑडियंस पिछड़े तो मतलब I have realized one thing that stories remain the same. You have to just probably revisit them,
right,
and
right.
rewrite them from today's perspective.
Yeah.
So see again, I don't know of writers जो बहुत hardworking है. मुझे लगता है सारे writers lazy है because मुझे लगता है physically जो लिखने का process है ना वो बहुत difficult है. मतलब मेरे को तो वैसे तो पेन और पेंसिल लिखना आता ही नहीं है. Forgotten how to sign also. Literally speaking, every time I sign something, 1000 बैंक में बोलते हैं signature is not matching. I've forgotten how to use a pen only. But even this whole, I literally want a software that's going to just dump everything I have in my brain and put it on pieces of paper. I was teaching ChatGPT how to write recently. वो भी useless है. वो भी ठीक से लिखता नहीं है, ठीक है. So literally this whole physicality of writing, where you have to write down 100 pages.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Inside Age 1, 2, Scam and Saas, Bahu and Flamingo, that is like 1500 pages of, right? When if I print them out, I'll say, oh my God, I can't believe that I have co-written all of these together. Because again, when you're writing shows, there's one thing, everyone writes everything.
Right.
ठीक है, जैसे हमारे इंडिया में भी you will see that, and creators what they do is they credit people for all episodes together because वही हो रहा है.
Yes.
See, in the Western world, we still see that किसी का नाम एक episode पे आता है, किसी का नाम एक episode पे. But यहाँ पे we are actually sitting together and trashing every moment out. And then you're writing your moments and someone else writes those moments, you're rewriting those moments. So literally writing everything.
Right.
So from that perspective, it is so physical. I'm saying that the writing का work इतना physical है. I think the other day I saw some writer, forgotten who had put up a post on Instagram saying after finishing one draft of screenplay, matlab, literally she is lying down and there's a cat somewhere and like लगता है कि a cyclone has gone through the house. And that is what every writer feels. After you finish a deadline and you send and say, okay,
Yes.
please find attached
yes,
this
yes,
version,
yes,
you are
yeah.
like, oh my God, I want to sleep for 3 days now.
Right.
Because that's how the process
Yeah,
is.
After you have passed out your FTII, how did that journey?
No,
that
I graduated from FTI. Then I actually worked on a couple of films though that didn't get made at the
Okay.
beginning. So मेरा वो पहला 2 साल बॉम्बे हुआ कि एनिमेशन सीरीज लिखे एक और बोले कि ये टॉप एनिमेशन network pe aayega, and it was very, I mean, like I remember me and Sumit Purohit were working on this one very popular animation character, and actually in 2009-10 की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं, animation was happening in the country and we thought animation is going to be big in India. And I was very hopeful that animation say you can tell, like, you see, I have literally Lion King is my favorite film, literally at a certain level. Okay, matlab that is the film which emotionally impacted me the most, probably among all these films I've seen in the 90s. And we actually thought there is a possibility of making those kind of films in India. Ki jahan pe you can tell your story.
Right.
You know, this one, I think Robert Zemeckis, after a point of time, said, I don't want to shoot with human beings. When he was making Polar Express, I think he said, I have now figured this out. मुझे humans का shoot ही नहीं करना है. I can go to a studio and keep telling them, ये करो, वो करो, वो करो. Humans के साथ करोगे, यहाँ पे कैमरा लगाओ, वहाँ पे ये वो है, वहाँ पे एक्टर का मूड अच्छा नहीं है. यहाँ पे I can handle everything and I can utilize the best of my creativity here.
Right.
So, even I thought, so when I was really thinking that in 5 years, animation is going to be a big thing in India. Okay, and we don't have to go through this whole Star Karnataka and production nahi mil raha hai. Take solid stories, write them down, get the best animators, create those moments. Why can't we do it? It just didn't take off in India. Okay. And we were writing this one series. I remember we wrote this bunch of 16 stories. And the narrators, I mean, ऐसा कुछ था कि the producers were there from Bangalore and there would be conferences जहाँ पे कहानी narrate हो रहा था phone में, ठीक है. And you could hear the producers literally falling down while hearing. उनको इतना मजा आ रहा था. But somehow वो जब animate हुए, वो उसमें comedy नहीं आया जैसे हमने लिखा था. और फिर वो चलता रहा कि नहीं, स्क्रिप्ट में ही गलती है, कॉमेडी क्यों नहीं आ रहा है एनिमेशन में. और हम बोल रहे, हम जब लिख रहे थे आप तो हंस रहे थे, एनिमेशन के बाद नहीं हो रहा था, आपका प्रॉब्लम है. And all this happened, and that I remember that show never actually saw the light of day.
So, like investing in 2013, I think that was the starting point for you to write Scam 92.
See, ऐसा हुआ कि 2016 में we were working on Inside, 2017 में रिलीज हुआ. 20 फिर one day Sumit came and told me कि Harshad Mehta has called me and he said that मेरे पास एक there is a rights to a book which is on the stock markets. Do you think we can do this? So I said, अरे मैं तो यही कर रहा हूँ 4-5 साल से, तेरे को बोलता रहता हूँ कि तू ही पैसा आएगा तो सुनता नहीं.
I've been preparing for that.
In the sense that, but I said, of course, because I really know that those things well. Okay. So then obviously I mean, rest so is reading the book and understanding how it all worked. But yeah, I mean, it happened very organically. Actually, funnily, it happened at a point where also I said, no, I'm losing too much money in the stock market. Let me stop it for a couple of years. ठीक है, all my calculations have gone wrong. So वही चीज है कि let me earn my money back by doing a show on stock
Writing about it.
markets.
Yeah.
हाँ, तो वैसा वाला चीज.
So Scam came to you via Sumit Purohit.
मतलब me and Sumit were writing almost as a team for a while ना.
Okay.
So I mean, like Inside Edge भी वैसे ही हुआ था. ठीक है. Then Inside Edge 2 तो obviously we want to start, but Sumit didn't want to because he was doing something else at that point of time. He was making his own documentary. And then तो वैसा ही है कि I mean, like, yeah, I mean, there was a couple of meetings also we did with Sharik Patel, who was initially doing was the producer of Scam.
Right. So before you like when you were writing for Scam 92, did you go through the book, the entire book?
Oh, completely. See, we had a first meeting in which everyone had to read the book and sit and discuss कि इसमें से क्या क्या हो सकता है.
Okay.
Now it's a very interestingly written book, but it's really information dense also because मतलब it's a 400-page book and like the Harshad Mehta chapter is like 30-40 pages.
Oh.
उसमें it is just not, see, that's why we call it Scam 1992, the Harshad Mehta story.
Yeah, only
Because
one
there
aspect of it.
There are 10 other stories and those are equally interesting, and it is such a detailed book लेकिन वो डिटेल्स सी वो बुक आपको तभी समझ में आएगा बेहतर व्हेन यू अंडरस्टैंड द मार्केट्स
Though,
आल्सो
yes. The
somehow
terminologies, the words, the concept, everything.
एंड अ लॉट ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शंस आल्सो मतलब ये
हाँ.
बेसिक चीज है अगर आप बोलोगे कि एक्स डिड अ फ्रॉड ट्रांजैक्शन अनलेस यू
हम्म.
डोंट सी क्या होता है कि पहली बात तो स्टॉक मार्केट में देयर इज अ वे स्टॉक मार्केट ऑपरेट्स व्हिच इज नॉट देयर इन रियल लाइफ
हम्म.
लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल द कांसेप्ट ऑफ शॉर्टिंग unless you get into stocks you'll not understand what shorting is वो समझाते में बहुत टाइम लग जाता है लोगों को
हम्म.
but the Harshad Mehta story is not about it is part of it is about stock markets also but it's all the actual thing is about the money markets
Yeah.
which is not even accessible to normal people.
Yes.
I have a habit of see there is a way of whenever I do something I try to learn the data of it very specifically वो मेरा habit है.
Right. So when you were writing Scam 92 with Sumit, what were the conscious decisions that you had to make while writing? Because you were just starting with the script.
See बहुत funny चीज़ है कि Scam Landlord is one of the only for the very few shows in the Indian thing which did not have a Bible also.
Oh,
ये जो
really?
पूरा बाइबल वाइबल करके सब दिमाग खराब करते रहते हैं ना लिटरली स्पीकिंग और देयर इज सो मच एम्फेसिस ऑन द बाइबल फॉर
Yes.
एनी शो
Yeah.
इट डिडंट हैव अ बाइबल वी लिटरally wrote some beats for 10 episodes और applause से हाँ ठीक है let's start
Oh,
ठीक है
that
and no
easy.
because we really want to we could see the show in a certain sense
अच्छा.
and then उसमें ऐसा हुआ था that उसका जो स्ट्रक्चर क्या होगा उस पर कोई बहुत डिबेट्स थे in
हम्म.
literally me and Sumit and Hansel we agreed on structure at the beginning also and then we wrote the first two episodes and Hansel is reading very good but
हम्म.
I think this is because we start the story in the middle
हाँ.
and we want to go back in a flashback.
Okay.
And then Hansel said, no, this is not. I can understand the drama of it, but I'm not getting invested in the characters because I don't know these characters. I think to understand these characters, I need to go back to the beginning.
Okay. And that's how you
That
decided that it will be a linear, like start to end.
that is one thing. And secondly, also like we didn't want voiceovers and all that. जो normally लोग बोलते हैं हमें voiceover नहीं करना है, cheat code है फलाना ठिकाना.
हम्म.
But I've always thought that filmmaking is actually all about using whatever techniques you have at your disposal to tell the story in the best possible way. When we were doing the first thing, then we said, "Oh, इसमें voice over नहीं होगा obviously." Then we said, होने से बेहतर होगा. It will just be able to, we can tell a better story.
हम्म.
लेकिन वो वॉइस ओवर किसका होगा ये को लेके बहुत डिबेट था लेकिन मुझे
Right.
याद है कि हमारा जो पहला ड्राफ्ट लिखा गया था उसमें वॉइस ओवर वो डीप थ्रोट का वॉइस ओवर था वो जो डीप
हम्म.
थ्रोट का कैरेक्टर है एंड देन आई थिंक आफ्टर पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम वी मेड इट द सुचेता वॉइस ओवर ओके
हम्म.
बिकॉज certain things were flowing better in that way.
Right.
So see, these things are going to be work in progress throughout. I
हम्म.
mean, like in the screenplay of it, constantly trying to figure out what is the right way to end the first. See, ना हर show में cliffhangers क्या है, cold opens क्या है, इसको लेकर हजार बहस चलता रहता है,
Right.
ठीक है ना? And everyone has their own opinion, and I can understand, and all these opinions are valid also.
Okay.
Starting from the writer and the director and the showrunner and the producers,
Mhm.
those who play a very important role in all the shows, right to the OTT, everyone has their own idea कि what is the best way of starting a show.
Mhm.
अभी इसका कोई ना specific तो वो होता नहीं है, ठीक है? I often tell people कि इतना बहस कर रहे eventually तो change ही कर देंगे edit के बाद. So इसलिए I don't want to waste too much time on how a show should be started or how a show episode should end.
Right.
We saw Margin Call actually, I remember.
Yes, I was about to ask, like, which were the movies and shows that you that were reference point in terms of tone and space of the scam.
So मेरा एक generally technique है कि I never watch a show if I'm working on the same piece as that.
अच्छा.
Not for the first draft for sure,
Okay.
because I really want to discover my draft's journey. And often what happens when you watch a reference पहले से ही वो subconsciously आपको
आ
impact
जाता
करता है.
आ जाता है. Right.
I don't want that. See, I have a huge. I'm finicky about trying to be original.
Mhm.
Okay, so I don't want to write a scene because I have been subliminally influenced by something else.
Mhm.
और कभी कभी होता है आपको खुद समझ में नहीं आता है.
Right.
I have met writers also say let's do a scene like this, and they have not realized that they are actually talking about some favorite scene of theirs, some other film. वो खुद भूल गए actually. उनको लगता है ये बहुत मजेदार होगा.
Right.
And they come from a place of honesty only, but
Yes.
the human mind is tricky.
Right.
So I make sure that you like. So I didn't watch Wall Street when I first saw it. When we were writing the first 10 episodes of Scam.
Okay.
But once we wrote the first episode of Scam, I want to go back and watch Wall Street. See, Wolf of Wall Street, no, क्योंकि वो actually stock market के है नहीं,
नहीं
ठीक
है.
है ना? And I also saw Wall Street 2.
Okay.
मतलब there's a sequel to Wall Street, which is not called Wall Street 2, which is called something else, I've forgotten. But it has some fascinating scenes. It is not as acclaimed as Wall Street,
Yeah.
but it had a bunch of fascinating scenes, okay? जहाँ पे I think वो Gordon Gekko comes out of jail and then he again starts his career. And but we saw Margin Call, and there was a reason why we saw Margin Call, and that is margin call में जो होता है वो किसी को समझ में नहीं आता, literally speaking. So basically, I think the markets are falling, and these guys have realized that tomorrow the markets are going to completely crash, and they have to cash out before the market completely crashes.
Yeah,
And it's a
something
one
like
night
The Big
story.
Short.
But I realized even in the film they don't show that chart because they themselves probably didn't know what the chart is going to be. But no one notices it.
Yeah.
No one really notices what chart नहीं दिखाया, क्योंकि
Right.
that is the strength of the storytelling. And though what they're talking about, you're not really understanding that the way the human characters are and how they. There's a beautiful scene in Margin Call जहाँ पे they meet some other guy in the terrace who's an engineer and who's constructed a bridge, and he says how he saved some 5,000 years of time because he made that bridge. That is such a brilliantly written scene, and it has nothing to do with the show. Okay, just एक engineer अपना he's saying why is he relevant. And I watched it and I said, that is such. I mean, I remember only that scene in that film because they had the opportunity to write something as beautiful as that, and no one told them, अरे ये तो that has nothing to do with the script, इसको हटाओ. जो यहाँ पे हमेशा होता रहता है, ठीक है ना?
Right,
ये बोलता है ये क्यों है स्क्रिप्ट में रेलेवेंट, इसको हटाओ,
right.
ठीक है ना?
So when you have done all of this research and you have done first sort of writing, when you are writing the character of Harshad Mehta, now for me, Harshad Mehta is not your typical do good, be good hero. He's a scammer.
वो रॉबिन हुड नहीं है बिल्कुल.
Exactly, right? He's a scammer. So how difficult or easy it was for you to create an empathy for an audience towards him? Because if you see, for me, the hero of scam is Suchita Dalal.
That is what it is actually. That
Right.
is what it is. See, the whole thing is, na. See, in her book, Sweta actually writes Harshad Mehta's character very authentically and paints the journey of him very authentically also. And that was the basis to create the character. We just want to detail the goings on in the entire universe. See, like for example, Harshad Mehta was known to be a non-smoker, non-drinker, for example, and we maintained those things.
Right.
Okay, then again, it was very clear that Harshad Mehta also had a fascination for cars, and he was very good with one-liners.
Right.
And he said many one-liners. Now, some of the one-liners we imagined completely.
Yes.
And the writer's imagination has worked there, and our dialogue writers have done a fabulous job to enhance that.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
But a lot of these things, though, if you see, some people have told me, "Aare Sam mein itna dialogue-bazi chal raha hai," for example. But see, the dialogue-bazi is only coming from one character, and who was known for his dialogues.
Yeah. There are some old interviews of him saying those, witty one-lines.
Correct. We have modified some of them because we've made them more accessible in a certain sense. But like if you see, वहाँ पे बाकी characters are not doing dialogue-bazi.
Yeah.
There is one character who's doing, because we knew of a character like that also who did some of this Gujarati dialogue-bazi. So we tried to be authentic to see. We actually got lucky with Scam because it's a very colorful time and it's very colorful characters. And actually, when we spoke to a lot of these stock market people, we realized how colorful these people are in their general jargon-bazi.
Right.
वो बहुत मजेदार चीजें बोलते हैं.
Right.
So also when we met them, part of our research was also to what they say, how they say, and we've taken some of the things that they told us also in terms of fun.
Right.
Like there is this moment in Harshad Mehta Story in Scam where he goes to the ring during the Muhurat and he shows his 5 fingers. He shows his hand, for example, which eventually became an iconic moment of the show.
Sure.
In fact, I think year end mein Google had put out the top 5 images of the year, and that hand wall image was one of the top 5 images.
Yeah.
So the reason is, now अभी वो कहाँ से पता चला? वो कहीं पे लिखा नहीं है. One of the people we spoke to, he said that my only memory of Harshad Mehta is that Muhurat के वक्त वो आया था, and people were asking the markets are going to go up by how many points, and he said 5. And the markets really went up by 500 points or something. I've forgotten how many points, 500 points, 50 points, something. But he did show 5.
Yeah.
So हमने बोला ये तो बहुत मजेदार moment. We should write this in the show.
Wow, so that was a real moment.
That was a real moment completely. And that is not written anywhere. You will not find that in any kind of print.
Right. But that was narrated to you.
Narrated to us by one of the people who were there at that point of time. तो
Right,
ऐसे
right.
बहुत सारे moments है scam में which we've gone and spoken to people and picked up from the conversations.
Okay.
So which is part of our research and which is something
Mhm.
that we do all the time. I mean,
Mhm.
for example, even in Saas, Bahu and Flamingo, we we traveled across the northwestern part of the country.
Mhm.
The entire writing team, including Aman and Nandini and Karan, and we spoke to various people and we heard a lot of local stories and a lot of them are incorporated in the story also,
Yes, yes.
which I think is part of any writing.
It should be part of any
We should be.
writing.
Ideally
Yes.
should be.
Yeah.
So whenever I write something, I keep telling people ki if it's based on a certain kind of a land, I have to go to that land and really stay there for some time to pick up the local nuances.
Right.
कि ड्राइंग रूम राइटिंग कर सकते हैं लेकिन उससे डिटेल या डेप्थ नहीं आता है.
Yeah, exactly.
तो भैया
So in scam, there are multiple characters. There are primary characters and then there are secondary characters. As a writer, how do you find distinct voice for each character? Because
see, there is a process to it.
Yeah.
I have a certain formula which which is part of I keep saying this is my formula.
Mhm.
And this is not what I have discovered. I mean, I've discovered this journey. See, I can tell you how I also thought about it. When we were writing Inside Edge, all the characters that you see, Kern had all those characters on paper already when I joined the team.
Mhm.
Okay, I mean, I think see, the initial part of Inside Edge was being written by Karan and Amay Sarda and Puneet Krishna. Okay, when I joined that group, the first 2 episodes were written down, which got rewritten वो अलग बात है. And the rest of the story क्या हुआ, there was an idea, but all the characters were already there.
Okay.
And when I first joined that project, I was fascinated by how interesting every single character was in that show. And I thought we were doing something extremely interesting just because the way the characters were. Okay.
Right.
So after being part, I didn't think of it then consciously, but
Mhm.
after being part of the first season, I mean, I was in the shoot also constantly, all the edits also. I mean, I had a take on it and the cricket scores and all that I only did essentially because my data interest in general कि I was like her ball ka scorecards I created essentially and
Okay.
a lot of cricket editing also I was part of it to make sure that the cricket editing is going properly. But उसमें क्या हुआ मुझे ये अपने आप एक I kind of stumbled upon the theory and I cross checked that with a lot of other shows also. मुझे लगा वो चीज़ कि कोई भी important interesting show में there are 8 primary characters and this number is something which I've researched in my own head.
Mhm.
I think there are 8 in this one also, Inside Edge only, and I think I started with that 8 and then I checked a lot of shows that I watched.
Mhm.
Hey, इसमें are there 8 primary characters? And eventually I thought, 8 is a good number for a 10 episode show.
Mhm.
And so मैंने एक ऐसे kind of theory बनाया कि 8 primary characters and 7 secondary characters is what a show should have.
Okay.
Now, actually, Saas, Bahu and Flamingo has more.
Acha.
Saas, Bahu and Flamingo has more than 8. Okay. I've realized that. But Scam, I think, घुमा फिरा के वो 8 है Scam
yeah,
में.
yeah.
And there are 7 secondary characters also.
Okay.
Okay. But in my head, they're all equally important.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So the idea is to create a journey for all of them. So
Yeah.
once you have a journey for all of them, you already have the distinctive voices. Because every character has a beginning, middle, and end. They have their own motivations and they
Mhm.
want to go from point A to point B.
Right.
So once the journey is clear, voices are going to be clear. And also when the dialogue writers take over it, they try to give a different voice to every character also.
Yes.
At times we sit in a writing room and say, yeah, both of these characters speaking the same way.
Mhm.
Like I remember...
वो काफी overlapping लगता है कि ये character वो character.
You will actually see some shows where all characters speak the same way.
Yeah.
And like I was watching this other show the other day. I mean, I was watching a show जहाँ पे हीरो को बहुत ही ट्रिविया बोलने का एक शौक है, वो हर चीज में ट्रिविया बोलता है. तो फिर मैंने देखा कि बाकी कैरेक्टर्स भी ट्रिविया बोल रहे हैं हर सीन में. So that is like a same writer has written all of it. It escaped them somehow that it just looks a little superficial. Everyone speaks in the same tone.
Right.
I remember when we were writing the first indicative dialogues of Scam also, I remember in episode 3, we had a scene where Harshad Mehta meets this businessman on a plane.
Yeah.
And I remember till now, within me and Sumit also, the characters were speaking in a certain way.
Mhm.
So I remember discussing with Sumit that this character speak in English constantly. And we give hurled expletives, ki fuck this one and fuck that one, etc. So at least this character will have a distinct voice and the other characters were speaking in Hindi mostly and speaking in a very sanitized way.
Mhm.
This character completely go over the top.
Right.
So at a first draft dialogue level also, we were thinking of it consciously.
Mhm.
So, and obviously when then dialogue writers take over and then it's part of their job to give different voices, then
Right.
that thing becomes more and more specific.
Yeah.
See, again, I can tell you, actors do their bit also.
Yes. They
Like
do add a lot of
Satish Kaushik, when he started playing the character he was playing, he somehow researched and figured out this character used to hurl a lot of expletives. So he added an expletive almost in every scene.
Yeah.
And he gave such a distinct dimension to the character.
हाँ,
All his funny one-liners have been written down. वो अलग
हम्म,
बात है. That came from dialogue writers, okay? That came from Kern West and Webber Fishall, okay? The jugglery of words.
हम्म,
But just that little addition of trying to be a little crass is what he really brought in as an actor. And that
Hmm.
character, that's why, stands out like a bullet,
right,
okay, in those scenes. So
right,
there's also a bunch of everyone, doing their bit and trying to make something. ये सब नहीं चलता. I think everyone should respect everyone.
right.
Okay. See, writing में, बहुत लोग बोलते हैं films are a military art. In film schools, we also say films are a military art. उसका एक reason है. जैसे military में ऐसे होता है ना कि a senior officer will give a command and the junior officer has to obey it. Okay.
Right.
ये obey it उसलिए नहीं है कि they will respect him. That's the way it works.
Hmm.
Because you have to have a certain faith that this is the way we are going to win this war or whatever, जो भी है.
Hmm.
ठीक है. So regarding writing also, when a senior person says कि we will go with this way, it's not necessarily the senior person is right or wrong, but you have to eventually choose one path.
Hmm.
And the senior person decides कि ये path में जाना है.
Hmm.
That can eventually not work also. That can bomb also. And but लिखने में क्या होता है कि I think in a democratic setup, the junior writer should be given the authority and the courage कि आप इसको आर्ग्यू कर लो, बहस कर लो, डिबेट कर लो,
Hmm.
and see what is the best way to go.
Hmm.
ठीक है.
But now that we are talking about writer's room, for a new writer, how to get into writer's room and what actually makes for a good CV of a writer, if you can help us.
यार ये complex salary why also, like mostly I'm saying, not in all cases. So there is a industry established system in which new writers send writing samples to established writers.
Yes.
Abhi mostly I don't go by that. I'll tell you why also, because see, often a writing sample is actually about someone writing well in that language, which is a literary thing, and not necessarily a thing which proves that they have great ideas or they have, they have great, probably they have decent writing craft in terms of literary skill, not in terms of a screenplay skill. Screenplay needs more ideas and more an ability of writing sharper dialogues and all that. Like, for example, you might write beautiful prose for one page, okay, which will be valued well in a literary circle and not in a screenplay circle, because वो एक page चाहिए नहीं screenplay में, of description, for example. So I am someone who often says कि मुझे sample नहीं चाहिए, but of course at times I do say मुझे sample चाहिए. But if I have to, let's say, make someone a part of a team, I would want to sit and chat with them and see what ideas they have. Like I told you, for example, even when I meet, let's say, OTTs or producers, I tell them what ideas I have about this script already. मैं तो often बोलता हूँ मेरा idea जो ideas मैं दे रहा हूँ free है ले लो. अगर even if you don't end up working, I don't mind if you use my ideas. अगर मैंने आपको कुछ आइडिया दिया जो वर्क कर गया, आई एक्चुअली अंडरस्टैंड कि अच्छा मैंने वो आइडिया वर्क कर गया, इट्स अ काइंड ऑफ वैलिडेशन आल्सो व्हिच इज हियर. तो a lot of writers feel bad if their ideas are taken and they are not given the job,
Right.
which is very natural to feel bad also. But in my case, I don't care. Mostly ऐसे ज़्यादा अच्छी बात है, ले लिया, that's fine. But what I'm saying is that in this context, what I'm going to say is uh, a lot of writers give a lot of focus to writing samples. But I personally think that if I have to sit with a writer, I would want to see इनके पास कितने ideas हैं. और हो सकता है कि उनके पास ideas तभी नहीं आ रहे हैं. ये हो सकता है. But that is going to be but eventually it's like a cricket field. It's like a game of sport. कि अगर आपको चांस मिला प्रैक्टिस मैच में और आप स्कोर नहीं कर पा रहे, आप घर में नेट प्रैक्टिस में सेंचुरी बना रहे हो, though it might be true, but at the end of the day, if you don't have ideas in the writing room, what are you going to do? Sit and do?
Yeah.
But कुछ लोग का ये होता है. I'm aware of it. They can't have ideas in front of people, but when they go back and sit, they have many ideas.
Yes.
पर मैं तब भी बोलता अगर आपके पास वो भी है, वो लिख के आप भेजो. It's okay. It's not a performance based thing in front.
Right.
But अगर आप तब मतलब somehow have to understand that the person who's dealing or talking about the material has to have a lot of ideas, because I've worked with a lot of very enthusiastic junior writers, those who don't have ideas, and it becomes such a pain.
Oh,
And this happens, okay?
right.
Some junior ideas are very enthusiastic and they say, I'll do my best essentially, but आप जब बोलते हो 20 लिख के आओ, आप देखते हो उन्होंने वही लिखा है जो बिल्कुल अनयूजेबल है, हजार बार देखा हुआ है, frivolous है. So I think a lot of new writers, they come underprepared
Okay.
and they are not working on their craft.
Okay. Okay.
And
I think this is the right opportunity for me to ask what makes a good screenwriter for you. What are the skill sets?
see, मेरा basic जो वही बोलूंगा, someone who comes with a lot of fresh ideas.
Okay, fresh ideas.
Fresh ideas होना चाहिए, and people also have to figure out how to solve problems in a new way.
Okay.
See, a lot of writing is problem solving. कि मान लो अगर हमने बोला कि चलो two people are doing something wrong and a third person finds it out.
Hmm.
And the third person wants to go and report what has the wrong that has been done.
Hmm.
अभी third person को कैसे पता चला? This is something writers are always dealing with.
Right.
Every script has a moment like this that
Yes.
two people are doing something wrong and third person. अगर अभी क्या होता है, इसका easy solution है कि इन लोगों ने किसी ने overhear कर लिया, किसी ने सुन लिया. अभी these are the laziest solutions.
Done to death.
हाँ, तो क्या होता है, आप जब बोलोगे ये, तब आप बोलोगे नहीं, but this is not working, but we've seen this so many times. So how do you find solutions of simple things in a creative way
Right.
is something you have to figure out.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and that also happens when you read a lot of general material. For example, let's say I was reading this very strange thing about how some internet scammer was caught, for example.
Hmm.
And usme there was a way FBI caught the internet scammer after chasing the scammer for 1 year. और उसमें इतने सारे नए moments मिले मुझे. I could realize that okay, ठीक है, अगर if I'm writing something like this, I can use some of those moments also, and those are real things reported, and I can reinterpret them, and it'll still be convincing, but still new.
Right. Right.
So I think people should constantly read and find new things so that when they come to a writing room, they have a lot of ideas. And those ideas should not come from watching other films, which is another problem. A lot of people give ideas because they've seen something in a film.
Yes.
So बिल्कुल copy paste है. So I all constantly see that you have to find ideas from real life, which has not been done in films. अगर आप फिल्म से आइडिया चुरा के दे रहे हो तो कोई फायदा ही नहीं है.
Yeah.
So this is something
derived
that
from your personal experiences.
personal experiences तो एक हुआ, और second, the more you read about things, the more you find out about things.
Right.
So like the way I was talking to someone else also, no. हाँ. So basically, the more you read and the more you find out about things, the more ideas you'll probably have, and you'll know how to reinterpret those ideas.
Mm-hmm.
See, often there's something we also talk in screenplay is that, like, for example, just say and this is a very different example I'm giving you. Like, when we first wrote the first draft of Scam, I went and watched Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
तो मुझे एक चीज समझ में आया, that the scenes that we written in Scam ना, वहाँ पे ऑफिस वाले सीन्स है, लेकिन ऑफिस ठंडा था. हमारा फर्स्ट ड्राफ्ट में ऑफिस में 3-4 लोग बैठे हुए थे, बात कर रहे थे. When I watched Wall Street, I said, oh my god, इनका तो ऑफिस बिल्कुल क्रेजी होता है, फोन्स बज रहे हैं, people screaming, they're looking at things. मतलब that is a chaotic space.
Yes.
Why is our space so sanitized? So obviously we went back and rewrote phones ringing here and there, people screaming here and there. We added those details.
Right.
See, now if you see Scam in that famous shot in which all these 3 people are walking, they are suited, booted, office में बिल्कुल chaos चल रहा है, that wasn't the way we wrote it the first draft.
Yeah.
Then हमने सब add किया. So क्या हुआ, वो वॉल स्ट्रीट देख के समझ में आया कि हाँ, वो स्पेस, जो रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ स्पेस का, you can borrow that and put that, and that is how you write actually. So often you find things that you should do naturally, but you've somehow not done in your screenplay. So when you watch something which is well made, you should be able to have an open mind to be able to derive those ideas. But again, see, it's not that Wall Street कोई moment हमने उठा के डाल दिया, ऐसा नहीं है. It's an environment that we thought is correct.
Right.
So, see, there are various things you can get various inspirations from, frankly speaking. And often I like inspirations जहाँ पे कुछ और होता है, आपको कुछ अलग idea आता है. मतलब it should not be that आपने कुछ देखा और आपने उसको ही उठा दिया directly. That is the problem. That should not be done.
Right.
But I actually appreciate writers who see A and they say, okay, how do I convert A to B and write something, and unless they tell you, you'll not understand that's an inspiration. So unless they tell you कि देखो हमने वो देखा है और हमने ये लिखा है, then you can say अच्छा चलो इसमें समझ में आ रहा है कैसे interpret हुआ है. But those scenes will never be similar.
Right.
And I think that is what smart writing is.
Right.
Where you're inspired without copying.
You also said that Scam was one series where you did not have to work on pitch, but currently and in the trend, pitch is everything for a new writer to get a foot in the door. How do you say what are the do's and don'ts for new screenwriters when they work on pitch or when they send the pitch to producers, writers?
In my experience in pitches, it is such an instinctive thing ना, किसी को लगता है कि ये यूनिवर्स कमाल का, इसको यूज कर लेते हैं.
Okay.
और ये पिच में अगर जो भी लिमिटेड चीजें हैं, okay, one thing is really happening nowadays, by the way, that there is a junior writer, senior writer difference in terms of OTTs. They often want, they get attracted to a pitch written by junior writer, and this is happening, by the way. But they realize that the junior writers create a great universe, but they have not been able to take the story through.
They're not mature enough or like experienced enough to
tell the. I mean, the universe is interesting, but they can't. The story they're telling is actually kind of not happening. So they often they get in touch with senior writers, those who are excited about the universe, to tell the story better. ये काफी होता है. बहुत टाइम होता है कि मैं ही सुनता हूँ मैं कि हमारे राइटर ने ये एक लिखा है. Now we like the universe a lot, but we don't like what is happening in this universe. Can you completely give it a spin and make it exciting?
In the same universe.
In the same universe.
Yes.
This is something I'm sure a lot of senior writers constantly get offers about. So for junior writers, now often people are looking for an exciting universe that you can create.
Okay.
अभी वो जो exciting universe भी बहुत personal है. Panchayat is such a breakthrough in Indian OTT if you look at it. Because uske पहले no one was thinking that rural story can actually be exciting.
Right.
Okay. Even Good Luck.
Yes.
Okay. Now, both these things are dealing with very small town things, a rural setup, etc., which a lot of people weren't thinking were exciting. But a lot of people absolutely love these shows.
Right.
So, आपको पता नहीं किसके लिए कौन सा यूनिवर्स कहाँ पे इंटरेस्टिंग है. So ये बहुत डिफिकल्ट है समझना. Like for example, let's say when Mirzapur let's say came in, it was a clutter breaker. ठीक है. But I think if you do another crime drama of the same thing today, people have seen so much of it. वो अभी नहीं चाहिए. See again, Little Things, for example. Little Things is about two people sitting and talking, literally, and they're going through a relationship.
Yes.
Okay, and I mean, it has what 4 seasons to it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and so many people love the show. And I don't think people could have seen. Matlab, I was surprised to see that is getting commissioned also at the beginning. See, they made it, I think, on YouTube. This first season.
First season was on YouTube.
But that caught on and people loved it. And then they did season 2 and 3 and 4. Now, 5 years back, you wouldn't think someone's going to commission it. See, that is what actually Dice Media and also this one has done, TVF has done. They have brought in so many stories which are completely slice of life and look and feel, and they have created this whole universe which people did not think are commissionable 10 years back.
Right.
So, ये ना बहुत मुश्किल है बोलना कि what is going to be exciting, what is not going to be exciting.
Right.
If you think that what you have is good and fresh and interesting, you go and knock on every door and tell everyone कि हमारे पास ये है. हो सकता है किसी को इंटरेस्टिंग लग जाए, who is in a position of power to be able to commission it. But ये बैठ के दूर से बोलना बहुत बहुत मुश्किल है.
Rejections as a writer, because that's one thing that's a part of every writer's journey. But again, that has made lot of writers quit, which we don't really want to see.
See, there are 3 aspects to it. Okay, I'll be very clear about this. One is a lot of writers don't work hard enough to make their ideas stand out. Currently, I think there are more writers those who are excited about being writers, but they're not excited about writing per se. Okay, and it might sound a little harsh, but a lot of people are trying to fake it till they make it. Because some of these people, they consume a lot of content that comes out, because of which they think even I can write like that.
Yes.
See, it is not because they actually want to be writers. They think, if that can get commissioned, even why can't I get commissioned? This is not the reason why you would want to be a writer. You would want to be a writer because you think you have great original ideas. So this is one basic thing. That don't try to be a writer because you think you'll make a lot of money, or you will think that you'll get a lot of popularity. पहली बात, writers को popularity होते नहीं है, frankly speaking. Okay? The way the structures are, writers can make money. That is one thing. Second is, yes, some writers are very popular also, just by writers. वो ठीक है, उन्होंने बना लिया अपना brand, तो अच्छी बात है. Okay. The third thing here is that people should want to write because they think they have great original ideas, and that is a non-negotiable beginning of
Yeah.
wanting to be a writer. Okay, one. Second is, if you think you have great original ideas, you have to constantly work on your craft,
Okay.
and you have to constantly figure out. You have to have an eye towards shows that are creating very interesting moments and scenes and characters. Okay, like I've often seen that people, even writers, they watch it something from a satisfaction perspective and not from a novelty perspective.
Mhm.
Like, for example, I've asked new writers, what have you liked about the show?
Hmm.
Oh, it was very tense and there was a lot of drama and there was a lot of these characters which I really related to, and it had a very good ending. So I said, no, give me 5 scenes that you think stood out in that show.
Yes.
And people are completely lost in thinking, pata nahi kaun si scene hai pasand aaye.
Mhm.
Remember that a scene is a unit of a bigger draft.
Right.
So when you're watching shows, when you see a new scene, there should be an antenna in your head to say, wow, what a scene, I've not seen this before.
Right.
ये होना बहुत important है for you to be able to write those interesting scenes when you're writing something.
Yes.
You know, like for example, when we write something and we narrate something, for
Mhm.
example, हमें पता है कौन से scenes regular है, कौन से scenes मजेदार है और different है. And I have also noticed that when you are narrating your mazedar scene, you know, fuck, I'm going to narrate this, सबको मजा आएगा.
Yeah.
When you're narrating a very regularly written scene, खुद को ही लगता है यार ये scene खत्म जल्दी खत्म करते. So that before they figure out that this is actually a very casually written scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to be able to create those very interesting characters and very interesting scenes. So first मैंने क्या बोला, you have to have original ideas.
Yes.
Secondly, when you're writing, you have to have interesting characters and you should know why your characters are standing out.
Right.
And then you should know why your scenes are standing out. And when you're and what is the scene when you narrate to someone, say, हाँ, वो तो, this is a great scene.
Mhm.
These are the individual parameters of trying to be better. And 3, people need to do a lot of research.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
I'm not saying people need to watch a lot. Actually, that is the problem, I think. That if you're not a lot of, when you watch a lot, you sit and create second-hand ideas, जो already किसी ने कर लिया है.
Yeah.
But real life में, like, see, I'm a chatty guy. I speak to when I'm traveling in a vehicle, I'm asking every guy, तुम Uber क्यों चलाते हो? तुम Ola क्यों चलाते हो? I keep chatting with auto riders to understand what their lives are all about. So you have to constantly talk to people to understand how people are leading their lives, and that gives you a lot of material also.
Yeah.
Like अगर आप literally 100 दोस्तों को पूछ लोगे कि अच्छा, how did your first relationship happen?
Hmm.
आपके पास literally 100 love stories है जो actually कहीं पे unique है.
True.
ठीक है? आपका क्या होता है, आपको जब लिखना पड़ता है लव स्टोरी, तब आप बैठ के सोच रहे हो यार इसको मैं नया कैसे बनाऊं. तब आप सोचता है उस फिल्म में मैंने ये देखा है. दैट इज द इम्पोस्टर वे ऑफ राइटिंग.
हाँ.
आपको लगता है उस बुक में मैंने वो पढ़ा है, उसमें मैंने ये देखा है.
Mhm.
द रियल वे ऑफ राइटिंग इज एक्चुअली आस्किंग रियल पीपल दैट हाउ डिड योर थिंग्स हैपन. उसमें से शायद 5 में से एक अच्छा आपको अच्छा लगे.
Yeah.
इट कैन बी समथिंग न्यू.
That can give you new inspiration. That can give you an idea to write
Correct.
something original.
Correct. And also you have to constantly draw from your life, constantly. Like, for example, abhi I'm writing a script, for example, which is a film actually, or there is a moment where the guy proposes the girl, and I wanted that to be an absolutely awkward kind of a proposal. So I was thinking of the awkward proposal I've heard about in real life. Okay, आप वो फिल्मों में देखते हो ना, typical जो proposal का scene क्या होता है, एक this guy or the girl, they'll take the partner to a gorgeous place or restaurant and
Yes,
they'll do a
yes.
candle thing and they'll say,
Right.
हाँ, मतलब एक announcement type होगा. ये तो
हाँ.
पूरा reels में ही चलता रहता है ना.
हाँ.
So people write these scenes like this only mostly, which is not a problem, which can actually be beautiful scenes also. But अगर आपने सोचा है कि मुझे awkward proposal लिखना है जहाँ पे he will see, अरे ये कैसे हो गया? And if you want to create that moment, then you will sit and think of awkward proposals also. And now I was going back and thinking, अच्छा, I remember I read someone's interview और किसी ने बोला कि I had proposed in the most, dull, awkward manner. And that stuck to me because it was so funny. So maybe I can take inspiration from that and recreate that scene in my story. I'm saying you have to constantly think about these things. You have to constantly think about मैंने लोगों से क्या सुना है, क्या पढ़ा है, क्या experience किया है, and how can you put that back in fiction is very important. So this is what I'm saying, that
Yeah.
I am a big believer in really creating original stuff,
Right.
and I keep talking about it also.
Right.
And I want new writers to constantly try to be original.
Mhm.
और एक चीज है कि don't want to be writer because आपको लगता है कि उसको आता है तो मेरे को भी
हाँ.
आना चाहिए. Genuinely आपको लगना चाहिए कि I want to be a writer.
Yeah. Do you have a list of films and series that you would recommend to a writer कि भाई ये देख और राइटिंग सीख कि कैसे की गई है ऑन स्क्रीन, और डू यू बिलीव इन रीडिंग बुक्स और यू आर लाइक कीप ऑल ऑफ दिस अवे, जस्ट डू योर स्टफ?
नहीं, यू हैव टू डू अ कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ ऑल ऑफ दीज टुगेदर।
ओके।
एक चीज जो मैं मानता हूँ कि आई एक्चुअली लर्न नथिंग बाय वॉचिंग अ परफेक्ट फिल्म।
ओके।
अ परफेक्ट फिल्म इज लाइक अ ताजमहल फॉर मी। मैं भी क्या मैं समझूंगा, वो तो बन चुका है।
हम्म।
ठीक है, लिटरली व्हेन यू वॉच अ टेरिफिक पीस ऑफ आर्ट ना, which doesn't have rough edges, which is picture perfect, etc., I learn nothing from it. Okay, because it all looks perfect.
या।
I actually learn a lot from things which where I think, oh, they missed this here. Oh, this should have been the other way around. Oh, they have missed out on this moment. Oh, see, they have created this horrible moment which everyone is hating. They shouldn't have really done it like this. Then I understand my checks and balances better. So I watch a lot of random stuff. Matlab, literally, my idea of watching a film is not to know a film में कौन है. Literally, I just go and click on something.
अच्छा।
Okay, because the moment you know
हम्म।
ये है वो है, what happens the moment you know the actors personally ना,
हम्म।
okay, आपके लिए एक्टर आ गया ना फ्रेम में.
राइट।
अगर जैक निकलसन आ गया, जैक निकलसन आ गया. नो मैटर जैक निकलसन इज टेरिफिक एक्टर, बट जैक निकलसन आया है आपको पता है. बट व्हेन आई एम वाचिंग समथिंग वेयर आई डोंट इवन नो, मैं व्हेन आई ऑन अ फ्लाइट आई लव क्लिकिंग ऑन एब्सोल्यूट रैंडम फिल्म्स आई हैव नेवर हर्ड ऑफ, बिकॉज़ देन वो एक्चुअल कैरेक्टर्स मेरे लिए है. आई डोंट नो हू दीस गाइस आर.
राइट। राइट।
ओके, एंड आई हैव ऑफन, मतलब ये तो फिल्मों में बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, एक्चुअली फिल्म फेस्टिवल्स में पॉसिबल है. आप जब मामी-वामी देख रहे हो, आप घुस गए एक हॉल में, पता नहीं कौन सा फिल्म चल रहा है.
हाँ हाँ।
And then it, even if known actors come in, it's great fun for you. You
हम्म।
didn't expect them to come.
यस।
So I watch a lot of material like that, and I'm constantly trying to relate to that material and then see if I like it or not.
And now what we can expect from you next? Like what's coming on any OTT platform?
See, there is a show coming. My next show is coming in OTT platform, and we are in post production. But I can't reveal more from about it. It is also a genre I've not done before.
Okay.
See, actually, if you look at the three shows I've done,
Mm-hmm.
in a way, there are three different universes.
Right. Right.
Though certain things might be similar
Mm-hmm.
because of the way shows are built or protagonists are built or characters are built. Like one is in the sporting universe, one is in the stock market universe, which has actually nothing similar to each other.
Yeah.
And the third is in the universe of crime, and also very fictionalized, very stylized crime, not a real crime per se.
Yes. Yes.
But though we have tried to make it look real because of a certain research material we've used and all that. But this one, my next show is actually about a very something very real, completely very real, and slightly different from everything that I've done. Because of which also there are positives and negatives which I can see right now, and I'm very keen to see how people react to it when it comes out.
So thank you so much, Saurav, for taking time and
Sure.
telling us your journey. It has been really insightful and fun for me, definitely. And I hope our listeners might get some points. Thank you, and we are looking forward to your next show.
See, fun to hona chahiye. That's what I'm seeing. That whatever I write, there has to be fun. Okay, like I'm not saying that it should be fun only. And I'm sure I'll be writing things where you cannot have fun. I'm sure there'll be a genre also I would attempt. But as of now, I really think that whatever you write has to have a great amount of entertainment.
Entertainment. Yeah.
And yeah.
I hope
So,
coming to Scriptnama and talking to us was a
no,
good,
मुझे तो
good
बहुत
thing
मजा
for
आया.
you.
मुझे तो बहुत मजा आया because also you have, see, you also made it completely a free flowing conversation. And see, again, this is what is important, that the host also have to create that environment in which conversations can proliferate.
Yeah. Yeah.
जो writing room की मैं बात कर रहा था,
Yes.
it's a very if writing rooms are difficult and tense and very political, and then people don't have fun there.
Right.
But I'm someone who really believes that these things will be free flowing and fun, so people can enjoy themselves.
Yes.
तभी best productivity आता है.
Yes.
And कोई भी show, I believe that जो भी successful film or show होता है, I'm sure it happens because of a great amount of good collaboration.
Yeah. Definitely.
जहाँ पे there are teams where everyone's fighting with each other, no, everyone hates each other, then there's a problem. I don't think they come out well also.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
environment matters a lot.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So this is also, I mean, see, I think I love this space because it's such an open space and we're not sitting inside a glass cubicle or something. I was thinking we'll be sitting inside a glass cubicle जैसे गाना record होता है. But thankfully this is a bigger space and
Yeah. Yeah.
sofa and all that. So
So
it's
thanks
great
to
fun.
RMD Studios for providing us the space.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bearing with us also.
Yes. Thank you, guys. And
Right.
Thank you to our listener for their time. Hope to catch you soon.
Yeah, and obviously, I hope the listeners also have a good time while listening to this.
Thank you for listening to our episode. We hope you enjoyed it and found some answers and insight. If you liked it, please subscribe the show and share it with your friends. You can also follow us on Instagram for regular updates. Details mentioned in the description. Thank you for your time.